Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my first impressions of Oriental Empires. Oriental Empires is a 4X hex-based strategy game, and whilst in this particular subgenre, Civilization has been king for as long as I can remember, this game appears to challenge that, and in my modest opinion, especially considering this is still in early access, challenges it quite well. Now, do not get me wrong if I tell you that this is not like Civilization. It does take a lot of elements from Civ. And also, don't underestimate the game just because it is in the very same, subgenre as Civilization 5. This thing has a truckload of unique features and unique gameplay to set it far apart from games like Civilization. With that in mind, I'm going to load into a game that I've played a little bit right now and try and show you all of that. To begin with, it is hex-based, as you can see, and it really just... You can see Civilization in this, right? It is just... The entire style oozes Civilization. However, that's not... It's not as simple as that, is what I'm getting at. Let me begin by explaining how the cities work and the turns. So, it is a turn-based 4X game. However, the interesting thing is, you don't exactly give your orders and fulfill your orders on your turn. It's turn-based in that you give your orders while it's your turn. However, your units do those things only after you click the End Turn button. Meaning, if I order these archers to go here, they will, after I end the turn. And when I end the turn, the entire thing on the entire map happens at the same time. So their orders get carried out at the same time as my orders. Which is very interesting and creates some fairly unique and not so often seen tactical possibilities and just overall military... military situations. Now, let us proceed with the cities. This is my capital city, and I have settled down two more over here. To the sort of, I guess, northwest of me is an enemy faction that I am at war with. They've managed to defeat their armies here, but in exchange they've defeated my general and killed him. So we're at a bit of a standstill. What I'm looking forward to is assembling an army and going after them for vengeance. Now, in order to do that, we're going to need to look at the cities. And if we click at the city here, we can see a whole load of information. Now, before I get into a more in-depth analysis of everything that there is to do from a 4X perspective, and, the city management, the units, the building, and all that, I would like to point out that this game is still in early access, and that all the UI complaints, the bugs, and the stuff like that I may mention or find during this video are subject to change, and that this is, once again, a game that is not finished yet. So, with that in mind, this is my capital city that I have selected. It is connected via road to, or via this path, I suppose, to this city and this city. There. So, we have the city buildings and the recruitment tab. These are independent of each other, which is very interesting, and not really often seen. These are your units that I can recruit, that you can recruit at this particular time. Now, there are buildings which will allow you to, choose from a much larger pool, rather, of units than this, but for now the basic units are the archers, the spearmen, and the noble axemen. The city buildings are also fairly limited, but this is just because I haven't researched anything yet. In the construction, this is the construction queue down here, you can put various buildings. I've built two of them already, and as I said, these are independent of each other. Unrest is a thing. Food, finance, and labour. Labour being basically the population of the city. You have 8 labour right now. Well, we have 8 labour here now that are farming. We are growing by 0.2 each turn from the food surplus. However, overcrowding is starting to become a problem, and the total population is 8 as well. Most of them, or actually all of them, are farmers in this particular settlement, which is, you know, has its good sides and its bad sides as well. You can also construct farms as this particular nation, though I think others can do that as well. And to do that, you simply click on some of this uncultivated land, and you will begin farming it. However, doing so will just realised the unrest went down. However, doing so is not free, and you will restrict yourself in some ways, and also part of the labour will have to be diverted away from food into construction, but I think that that is completely fine for now. So I've shown you the unit construction. This is what it looks like when they're actually built. They stay inside the city and then you move them out. Another glaring difference from Civilization 5 is that units in this game, such as these light archers, stack. Which means on one hex you can have many units, not just one, like in Civilization. Now, another very, very important segment of the game is diplomacy. Right now, we don't have contacts with anyone, even though I did wage battles against these guys in the north. They are bandits. Yes, they are bandit enemies, so they are not a proper nation. Technology and culture, arguably the second most important thing in the game. These are the technology trees. Yes, technology trees. You do get certain things after a certain period of time, and for example, Warring States era can be unlocked after completing 27 items. Whichever of those you choose to complete is up to you. The technology tree reminds me quite a lot of the one in Paradox's games, specifically the one in Hearts of Iron 4. If you've played that game, you'll know that you have several different areas that you can research, and several different slots. Four different tech trees are present: power, craft, thought, and knowledge. Go ahead and guess what each one of them does, though, for example, in knowledge you also get the composite bowman unit, which composite bows, which enables the noble archers to be trained. So, even though it is knowledge, and it does take knowledge to unlock this, you do get military units from this as well. Also get authority and culture, which is not something I really touched upon, and I will require a lot more game time, like several days of playing this game in order to fully understand and min-max culture and authority, but for now that isn't necessarily all too important. Just know that those two things exist and need to be managed as well. Power is pretty much mostly military, though there are some economical stuff as well, like food and farming, which is usually associated one with each other. For example, if you... a bit of a history lesson, usually gods of war and military units in peace times did stuff like this, like farming, construction, so on and so forth. Take a look at the Romans, for example. Their legionnaires built roads and aqueducts in peace times, and also the god of war was also the god of farming. Same goes for the Chinese culture here as well, not in terms of the god specifically, but in the power tree you do get stuff related to farming and economy as well. So in each and every one of these trees you pick something that you would like to research, click select, and it gets put down in this queue here. All of these are researched at the same time. Well, each of these, sorry. So we're researching 4 technologies at any given time. As we are this particular nation that I've chosen, or this particular clan, I suppose. Is that a nation? My Chinese history is not that great. I do apologise. But as this particular faction, let's call it, we do get a bonus to power research, so that is going to be finished first. As far as the tech tree goes, that's everything there is to see. Next, I suppose I should show you how the actual combat and movement works. So here we go. You end the turn, and now you get this cool little cinematic. And yes, you can control the camera and see what's going on. You can also issue orders to your troops. Not right now, but before the turn. For example, if there was combat here, I could issue specific orders to my troops, known as battle plans. Basically, this tells them what to do. No, the combat is not as simple as two units clashing headfirst into each other. There is a lot of tactics. Well, a lot of tactics. It's more so a case of paper, rock, scissors combined with actual strategy, as in, you know, bearing in mind what type of units you have. So the archers might want to stay in the back, while these guys harass the enemy units or charge them head-on, because they are melee troops. This all can be arranged in battle plans, but of course, there is no battle here, so they are just going to move forward. The one downside to the game that I can tell you about right now is, well, the clipping. It's not too noticeable, especially because usually they get done quickly, but the animations in general are not the greatest, and there is a problem with both animations in combat, movement, and in general, and it's something I would really like to see improved in the near future, if at all possible. So, that would be basically the gist of this game. Like I said, there is a lot of complexity to this. You do have your income, food, unrest, and labor. These are 4 things that need to manage that. So there is depth in that management. In that way, there is also the fact that research is rather complex. You need to work on that. Yes, there are several key and important things that you need to work on in this game, but I believe that this is pretty much everything, as far from the overall basics of the game, as far as they're concerned. That is. Now, allow me for a second to exit this particular game. We're going to go back to it in a minute, but I would like to show you exactly what nations are available to play and what game modes. So you have custom game and the grand campaign. Custom game is you basically pick your own map. For example, the Americas. You pick the size of the map. You pick the geography. Put in a seed and begin the game. The grand campaign works similarly, but the map is predetermined like so, and you can pick from a, just like in the custom game, you can pick these nations. Now, these are unlocked after you've played 200 turns. One would imagine that these are a bit more difficult to play as and have some more unique connotation to them, I suppose, more unique features. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. So, the clans that are, or I guess the factions that are available to you right now, I keep saying clans because it's giving me a Shogun 2 Total War vibe quite a bit from the UI and everything, even though I know Chinese and Japanese culture are entirely different in this time period. Vastly different, in fact, but the entire aesthetic kind of reminds me of that game. Anyways, the Shu, the Chu, the Han, the Zhou, the Zhou, I believe that's how it's pronounced, and the Shang. Each and every one of these does have very, very different features and characteristics to them, making each faction quite unique in and of their own rights. So we began as the Chu. They are farmers. We began as the Han, I believe. Yes. They are farmers. Their crossbowmen are 20% more effective, or have a 20% chance to kill. Increased chance to kill. Peasant happiness is increased by 10%, reduced combat effectiveness by 10, and power development increased by 20. Which means you go for technology and archers rather than brute force and quality of your melee troops. And also focus on farming quite a bit. All these other nations, of course, have their own thing, and the entire select screen just, for me, is very similar to that of, again, Shogun 2 Total War, where each clan in this particular game as a faction has their own, well, not debuffs, but their own, like, characteristic bonuses, benefits, and penalties. You can also select the difficulty, easy, normal, hard, and very hard, and the max turns that you want to play. Now, the lowest amount that you can set it to is 0, which I believe well, not I believe, which basically means infinite turns, right? But you can also go as far as 99,000, basically. So, yeah, I don't quite see the reason why you would set 3,000 turns instead of infinite, but, you know, whatever. The option is there, is what I'm getting at. And that's basically the factions of this particular game. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump into the game that I played previously. And I'm going to play it a little bit more for you, you know, build up my empire and so on and so forth. Also, I should, oh. Technology is not researching any... Yeah, we've researched that thing. Okay. Let us then proceed to research something else. The rammed earth and... no. Farm food production. Yeah. Let's do that. And this thing is researching as well. Good. Get out of here and end the turn. Now, what I should say is that the game performs remarkably well. And if you take a look at the graphics and the entire overall theme of it and the entire overall look and feel, maybe it won't surprise anyone, especially on a little bit of a better rig than the average. But I'm saying that in the context that this is early access. The game really performs well. Silky smooth FPS, no crashes thus far, no freezes, no stuttering. Once again, considering this is early access, I am reasonably impressed. So, we've gathered up a small army here. We're going to give them a formation to stick in, which is going to be 2 lines, like so. And we're also going to set their facing, I believe. Where am I? Oh, no, this is a... yeah, like so. There we go. And we're also going to give them a battle plan, which is just a straight-up attack. Or reserve. Hold position, but attack enemy units threatening friends. No, just gonna get them into a straight-up attacking position, and there we go. So like I said, there is tactics within the tile. Like, there are formations within the tile, there are things that you can do within the tile, rather than just managing the overall positioning of your units. Which is rather necessary, considering that the units stack on top of each other in these particular tiles, so just making a doom stack and then moving with it without any thought would be... it would hinder the gameplay, let's just say. Now, I've gathered up this army here, along with my general and his bodyguard, because, oh, we've also encountered a Zhang, okay. Well, a Shang, I suppose. Because this particular general needs experience. He has won 0 battles and has minus... or had -1 authority, now he has 0, so... getting him some prestige and renown by winning battles is going to be beneficial to the Empire. This is Tian Shen of the Shang. Okay. Let's see what we can do diplomatically with him. Request an audience. You can see the summary here as well. Their attitude is polite. We've been at peace for 9 turns. They are stable, adequately wealthy, and stronger than I am. I believe militarily, that is. So, we could open up a certain agreement. For example, recognize the Emperor is also... what we can offer. This is the entire political thing with China at the time, so we could even offer to become their vassal, which is not something that you often see in games. Usually you can only demand to become a vassal. I am glad that this is an option, though. It simply allows for freedom of playing however the hell you want to play. So, for example, maybe I'm bored of conquering the map if I'm good at the game, and for this one particular game, I want to be a vassal to another empire and loyally serve them, or to another faction, rather, I should say. But for now, let us reveal the location of their capital in exchange for fraternal harmony. Actually, do not reveal the capital. Yeah, just can we get that going? We see no value in this offer. Okay. What about a defensive alliance? No. Okay. I'm not quite sure what the things mean here. For example, if we... What does this mean? Should this be balanced? Should this be... I don't know. I would like clarification here. That's what I meant when I said that there are certain UI things that I would change and don't particularly like. Anyways, let's end the turn, and I believe we're going to see combat. Well, not yet. We're going to have to start researching something as well. Jade working would increase culture. No. So we get that. Boundary, clear forest. Yeah, sure. Let's take this. Thought, going to increase... We'll increase authority. I guess let's increase culture by 1. And knowledge... Calendar would be useful. There we go. You may have also noticed that the seasons change in the game, and according to them, the game map changes as well. So in winter, there's obviously snow all over the place, which is reasonably well done. I mean, the terrain looks really decent. It's only the unit animations and the unit combat that seems to be, you know, less of just lesser quality than I might like it to be. But like I said, it is in early access, and I'm hoping that we might see improvements in this particular field. We've routed the bandits. What I'm wondering is whether my general is okay, because if he's dead, then, well, we're in quite a bit of a problem. The bandits appear to be swimming away from us. They're going to retreat across the river, which I'm completely fine with. And there we go, we've won. With fairly low casualties from what I can see. So, we're going to address another elephant in the room here. Well, it's not really an elephant in the room, it's more of like a lion in the room or something like that. It's not as big as an elephant. And that is that this game takes place in China. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mean that as a criticism or anything, even though it may initially sound like that. I mean that as a really, really good thing. I don't remember the last time I've played a game that takes place in China and takes advantage of this particular area's interesting culture, background, history, and so on and so forth, right? So the fact that you get to explore the Chinese... But what is the modern-day People's Republic of China, and at the time was a bunch of different factions warring with each other. Like, the fact that you get to explore this area rather than something that's been seen hundreds and hundreds of times, like Europe or, you know, Europe and North Africa, the old continent, stuff like that. I think that it works really well to this game's advantage, because if I was in Italy right now playing as the Romans, or, I don't know, maybe even the, in the beginning of the medieval period, like 6th to 8th century AD, something like that, if I were playing as them, this wouldn't be as charming and wouldn't be as enticing an experience as it is right now. There's also one thing I wanted to mention extra that I've forgotten to do in the initial beginning of this video when I talked about the cities, is that despite the city not being next to the river, you still get full benefits of being you know, like a city that's technically on the river. If you've seen the demo for Civilization 6, you'll know that districts are now a thing. So if a city is, for example, here, you can have a district built here, and it will be able to produce ships and navies. Whereas in the previous Civ games, your ships can only be built if a city is on the coastline. This game is basically doing the same thing. So even though this city is not on the river, it's still getting the same bonuses as if it were. Provided you build the certain things that can be built here later, or build the farms around the riverbed, which will yield certain benefits, I'm sure. Well, that's basically it as far as my first impressions of this game go. Now I'm going to go and play a bunch of it, because it's a surprisingly fun game, and I think it's getting not a lot of attention, and it really should. It's a really good experience, and yeah. There we go, that's pretty much it. Thank you, everyone. Everyone? English, oh god. Like I said, thank you everyone for watching very much. Please remember to like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed this video, as it really helps the channel out, and you'll be doing me a great favour. But, until next time, take care, have fun, and bye-bye. And also go and pick this game up, because it's really fun.